can't walk away from. And with the idea of Nancy Pelosi not being full-throated in her support, even someone like Jim Clyburn, who was in fact full-throated, just listening to him during an interview today, you started to get the idea that this may be coming.
You certainly did. The drumbeat did get louder and louder since that debate with former President Trump. That is for certain. Ed, I'd like to get your take just on the gravity. I know we have a long road ahead of us. However, if the vice president is in fact endorsed and nominated as the new Democratic nominee at the Democratic National Convention, which will begin on August 19th, just a few weeks from now, the gravity of the fact that she is a woman and she is a black woman here in our nation's history.
Yeah. I think Ed O'Keefe hit it earlier when you spoke to him. We're in uncharted territories, Christine. I don't know that we know. Will America be ready for a black female? We'll see. People said that about Barack Obama. There were many who believed that at that point in time, America wouldn't be ready for an African-American president. And he was able to break a glass ceiling that many of us thought would never be broken. I think one of the things that
they trying to run that game.
Of, though, even with this,
I ain't trying to hear it.
There are forces in the Democratic Party that do not want her leading that ticket. And
they're gonna try to hit us with the, oh, she's black, we need to vote for her. No, no. She ain't black, and that's not a reason to vote for somebody. The fuck out of here.
But more specifically, to give Joe Biden.
I don't even want to hear that bullshit.
This is who I am putting my belief behind.
Let me get this link up here, man. See if y'all want to come on. I know y'all ain't, but I'm gonna put it up there anyway.
He is in fact
we're gonna try it again for the 20th time.
If that was meant for everyone in the Democratic Party,
I know somebody got something to say.
Fall in line. I know you are close to the vice president. You mentioned earlier that you said, is the nation ready to elect its first female black president? YouTube. Is Kamala Harris, in your opinion, ready for the road ahead that's ahead of her?
Yeah, I think, and I'm bothered sometimes by that question. I think African Americans in these positions get that question far more than we give to others. I think, 3.5 years in the White House has certainly readied her more than any other person on the Democratic side.
Let me get this link up in here.
She's a bright woman. She's been in politics for a long time.
Man, if you want to come on and discuss this,
I believe, has the ambition now. She's stalwart next to Joe Biden.
I think they're going to try to hit us with this, oh, she's black,
I think rise to this occasion.
Everybody's going to, all the black people going to get behind her. No, that's not a black person. And that's not a reason to get behind somebody.
That you know about
I
her
definitely won't be voting for her ass.
Will help in the road ahead.
Well, I think what we've seen her
they're going to get a few people. That's obvious.
When
it's a lot of motherfuckers. They're going, oh, let me go ahead and vote for I'm back in now. I'm back in. I'm all in.
And failed on the border.
You're a damn
issue,
fool.
But I think that that's one of those issues that everyone.
What's this? What they call that? That's the carrot on the stick. They leading you somewhere.
Have had an opportunity
you going right with them.
To use the bully pulpit, but haven't been able to get their arms.
But yeah, as you can see, man, Joe Biden dropped out, endorsed Kamala. So now we're gonna have to hear about this crap, even though they've been lying to us about Joe Biden, even though we could see what was going on.
The energy that she's going to bring to this, if in fact she becomes.
I mean.
Is extraordinary. We've seen
maybe it's people who don't want to hear this.
Shit,
I don't care. You know what to do. You don't want to hear it. You may not like it.
Opponent.
Cut it off.
Ed Gordon,
block me.
Anchor at BET.
Unfriend me.
Appreciate you taking some time with us, and if you
I don't give a fuck.
Please do stand by as we continue our coverage of
You're not going to tell me what to do. You're not going to tell me how to vote. And I'm not going to tell you how to vote. I'm just showing you what's going on. I'm just stating facts.
Just continue on this notion of Vice President Kamala Harris.
If you want to still fall for the stupid shit, you can go right ahead. I won't be with you.
Your take.
You can go by yourself.
Historic choice for the Democratic Party.
So if they expect a lot of black people to get on board with this shit, I just don't believe it's gonna happen. I think a lot of black folks have already either checked out, they're not gonna vote, Or they just gonna vote for the other side.
African-American, Asian woman.
It's
vice
still gonna be
president.
people voting Democrat. I mean,
I'm
not gonna sit here and act like, no,
everybody's
coming.
coming.
Everybody's gonna vote for Republicans. No, it's not gonna happen.
About if we reach this point.
And I kind of don't even want them to do that. I don't want every black person to vote Republican.
Next? And
because then they'll start. It'll just be the same thing on that side.
The decision by.
I'm not even mad at the people who don't vote.
I believe.
I'm not mad at. I'm really not even mad at the people who gonna vote for it, even though I don't want them to.
Is maybe what delayed.
I'm really not mad at that because I just feel like this country has put our people in such limbo. People, black folks don't know what to do. They don't know how to vote. They should, but I mean, just depending on how you live, what are your circumstances, and what you seeing. I mean, we all being gaslit.
Democrats who believe that there is no other choice than Vice President Kamala Harris, for many reasons. One, she has really shown herself to be a stalwart surrogate for President Biden and for this administration, has been a partner in governing.
She just hanging back, waiting on her turn, bro.
Built a profile around a couple of issues that we know are going to be very engaging this time around. The issue of abortion, which she is probably the foremost spokesperson within the Democratic Party right now, and also issues of consequence to young voters like climate change and student debt relief. She went on a very much ballyhooed, college tour in recent months that I believe has really rebooted her reputation with those populations of voters. Not to mention just the obvious fact, let's just say the quiet part out loud, black women are the strongest, most reliable part of the Democratic voting coalition.
I'm sad. It's sad to say, but they're gonna be the main ones voting Kamala Harris, bro. Let's be real. They're gonna be voting Kamala Harris. It's a link in the comments, man. If you click that link, you can come on and chat with me. You can discuss this, what you think about Joe Biden dropping out the race and doing Kamala Harris.
But I do think a party that has historically had a tortured history with recognizing and representing black voices would have a lot of challenges.
I think they're going to have some issues with that whenever they get to that convention. I think it's going to be other people that's going to want to step up and take her spot. But I don't think they're going to let it happen. It's going to end up being Kamala. Because they feel like they can manipulate the black people once again with, oh, she's black. This is who y'all need to vote for. Don't worry about no policies. Don't worry about what you're voting for. Don't worry about none of that. Just worry about she's a black woman and that you need to vote for her. Nah,
I think a name to watch.
That's not a good enough reason for me.
How she will treat the news of the
That is not a good enough reason for me. I am not voting for that shit.
Somebody who recent reporting has suggested wanted an open process if Biden were to step.
You want to vote for her? Go right ahead.
Immediately moving the
I ain't doing
nomination of Kamala Harris. So there is a lot here, and I believe the next few days will be of great consequence to figure out whether or not Kamala Harris's endorsement from Joe Biden will transfer to the rest of the party.
All right, Joel Payne, CBS News political contributor. It is still early here in the East, even earlier in the West, and we are going to continue to cover President Biden's decision to step down for re-election for president of the United States. I'm going to hand over our coverage now to CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell in Washington.
Need no fucking block.
Christine Johnson, thank you.
I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't want to see no sizzling
President Joe Biden
Latinas.
has decided to drop out of the 2024 race for the White House on Sunday, just a short time ago, releasing a statement to the American people saying over the past 3.5 years, we have made great progress as a nation with the strongest economy in the world.
No, we haven't. No, it's not.
He has decided to instead endorse his vice president, Kamala Harris.
I'm paying
in this
2 and 3 times the prices when I go in the grocery store. No, it's not.
Bring in Margaret Brennan, who is the host of Face the Nation, as well as
gas is high. No, it's not.
With me as well. And Margaret, I understand you've been speaking with some people inside the Biden camp.
We have, because President Biden made this decision in a very small group of advisors. They kept this very, very quiet. And from the calls I've made so far, there is an appeal to say, please don't make this about the process. Focus on the legacy of Joe Biden, that he made this decision in what he views the best interest of the country. That is, he finally heard the message that for 3 weeks now, Democrats have been saying quietly and increasingly more loudly.
He already knew this, man.
On Face the Nation,
it's just people up there in power don't want to relinquish the power. That's what it is. They have to damn near either be killed or forced out. These people are 80, 90 years old. They got cognitive issues. They walking around there sick, coughing. You seen what was the guy, the senator for the Republicans? He was standing up there one day just staring into space. These people, they just don't want to come up off the power, man.
Cacophony of voices telling him that he may lose this election.
Get his ass out of there.
Trump.
And I ain't voting for Kamala. And she need to get her ass up out of there as well. And if you don't like what I'm saying, if you're watching this right now, guess what? I don't give a damn. Sorry for your feelings.
That is,
not
of course,
sorry for
where we
your
are in the
feelings.
race right now. This focus, this onslaught will turn towards her. Republicans already coming out and saying that Joe Biden's endorsement of Kamala Harris without reopening a primary process somehow looks rigged, somehow denies the vote that primary voters set earlier on in the race we've had to date. So you are about to see an onslaught aimed at the vice president and to undermine faith in the process, the primary process and the selection here. But in this moment in time, it is worth noting that Joe Biden has come to a very painful decision for a 50-year legacy in Washington at such a consequential time, having passed bipartisan legislation, having faced a world in crisis, and by the way, about to go face-to-face with a world leader. And trying to broker Middle East peace.
Right. The President of the United States saying, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. Want to bring in Robert Costa. And Robert, obviously a very difficult decision for President Biden to make. He has been in elected office for some 52 years, has a tight-knit group of supporters. They were pushing very hard to try and stay in this race, just as early as yesterday, saying he's going to be back out on the campaign trail next week. He's going to be meeting with the Israeli prime minister that's here in town. What changed?
This is a seismic political moment, a historic moment for this country. The first time since March 31st, 1968, that an incumbent president has decided to step away from the nomination. That same year, 1968, the Democrats were having their convention in Chicago, just like they will be in Chicago this year. For Democrats, this was about a pressure campaign on a president who was insisting that he wanted to stay in the race until the 11th hour last night. Based on my conversations with his confidants, his family was urging him to stay. First Lady Jill Biden, sister Valerie Biden, son Hunter Biden. They believed, as he believed, that he could beat former President Donald Trump. But as Margaret said, he has been in politics since he was elected to the Senate in 1972. He has a political antenna. He saw the pressure rising. This was not something he wanted to do, but he was talking through with his advisors, Mike Donilon and so many others like Anita Dunn, and saying, if I do get out, what do I do? Do I get behind Vice President Harris? Ultimately, there was a decision for party unity to make sure that endorsement was quick. It came today.
Let's see what Angela Rye over here talking about. She done had something to say. Lord have mercy.
Okay, everybody, I'm back. I was upset a minute ago, but he just endorsed Kamala, so I'm fine. The people,
of course,
NLP fam, Native Land Pod fam does a play, and they made sure that I knew, because I was ready to call all kind of boycotts. I was calling people, and it just so happened
ready
that
to call
he just
boycotts.
Endorsed Kamala Harris. And so, Joe Biden, thank you for doing the right thing. And for everybody else who voted in the primary, know that your ballots matter, that we are always going to be the fierce protectors of democracy. Black folks been doing it a long, long time.
There you go.
And so, yes, I retract.
I won't be with you.
I meant to, though. Just
you can walk in that river by yourself and drown. I ain't going with you.
But I do believe Kamala Harris is the most qualified. And as the vice president on this ticket, she should have every opportunity to defend her accomplishments. And
man, that's pretty much all she wanted anyway. Y'all remember a couple of weeks ago, she was crying on that podcast, talking about how they really wasn't listening to Democrats. Now she happy that she got her way.
Onward.
It's cool when you get your way.
This fall, we got a lot of work to do, and as y'all know, it's not just a campaign; it's a political war. So let's get down to business. Bye, y'all.
Such a goofy lady. Such a goofy lady. Let's just put this back on her. I don't want to hear that shit.
Again, shortly, so there is much still up in the air. Let's go now to our chief White House correspondent, Nancy Cordes, at the White House with new reporting. Nancy?
Nora, I can tell you that as of last night, senior officials here at the White House and senior Democratic officials outside the White House were still being told that President Biden was in it to win it and that he wasn't going anywhere, despite all the Democratic calls for him to step down. And then that bombshell came just a couple of hours ago that actually he was going to be getting out after all, which indicates that if he was mulling this over, it was with his family, maybe a very small circle of aides, but that was being kept away from most in the Democratic orbit writ large, because it is obviously a very difficult decision, one that he resisted for quite some time. But clearly, he and those right around him decided that it was just too difficult to try to push back against this growing wave of Democratic lawmakers in particular who were urging him to step aside.
Nancy Cortez, thank you. And what kind of challenges does the vice president face?
Well, she's got 3.5 months to mount a presidential bid, which would be difficult for anyone. Yes, she has the Biden campaign.
They already been rehearsing all the stuff they're going to say. They need to stop that, bro.
But, you know, she has.
They be trying to act like people dumb.
3.5 months at the
Y'all
top
been
of
plotting
this
on this for a while. Y'all know what's
the
up.
American people.
Oh, yeah.
That she
now we got to
is
get
the
in the
best
mode where
person
we're going to
for the
start
job, and that is
preparing
just
like it's a
something that
campaign.
is
You
very
already been
difficult
doing
to do.
that.
She has to sort of spring in there on day one. She does not necessarily have anywhere near the same size of a team within the White House that the president does.
Shit don't make no sense.
And she's got to try to, you know, get all around the country and make her presence known.
I got them links up there, man. All you got to do is click it. If you want to come on and talk to me, it's the link right there. I know you got something to say. I know you really do got something to say.
Harris was ready on day one to be president of the United States, and he said yes, he believes she is. That's why he chose her.
What you think about it? You going
her
does this
ability to
make
hit
you
the
want to
road all
vote
over
if
the
you're not
country,
voting?
talking about
Does this make you
reproductive rights, and
want
it's
to
very
change
important to
sides if
Democrats.
you
He
are
talked about
voting?
her history
What's the
as
deal?
a prosecutor, something
you
that she
think?
definitely brought to bear in her years in the Senate, on the Senate Judiciary Committee. But now she has to take those attributes, and the campaign has to take those attributes and sort of refocus the entire message, not just the message of the campaign, but also the message at the convention coming up in just a few weeks. Everything has to change to reorient against someone who, while she has served here in the White House with President Biden for the past 4 years, is a very different person with very different strengths, and that entire campaign machine has to reorient around her.
Man, I'm seeing this stuff about maybe Hillary Clinton. If they do that, it's over
information that is just coming in. Robert Costa, I know you have something new you want to share with us.
Yes,
Niggas is not voting for Hillary
sources
Clinton.
close to several of the people
didn't
who
vote
might
for
be
her the first
considered
time, they ain't gonna do
possible
it this time.
challengers to Vice President Harris for the
Gavin
nomination.
Newsom,
People
they
close to
saying his
California
name, too?
Governor Gavin Newsom,
Nah.
people close to Gretchen
He
Whitmer,
got
the
too
governor
much
of Michigan,
debt.
all saying they're preparing.
He running up
to
too many
stand down.
tabs
They do
up there,
not
bro.
believe that
They're not finna
Democrats
let him
will
get on the
challenge
big
Vice
stage with
President
that.
Kamala Harris at the convention in Chicago.
But
already in this
I say
immediate
that
aftermath
motherfuckers
of
will
President
get right
Biden's
behind it.
momentous decision, you see behind the scenes
Anything but
Democratic
Trump.
consolidation. The real
Because you
race
know
will
why?
be for vice
'Cause if Trump
presidential
get in there, we're going to
nomination on the
slavery.
Democratic side. But it is intriguing to me as a reporter.
Y'all know the
that
deal.
there's no one
If
at
Trump
this
get in there,
moment
we gonna be
preparing behind the
slaves.
scenes to challenge Vice President Harris.
The
That's
day
what
that he
Governor
gets
Gretchen Whitmer
elected,
just saying
somebody
that
gonna
Biden
come to
has
your
a job
house,
in this
they gonna
election,
round
and
you
he's
up,
doing
and they gonna
everything
haul
he
your
can to
ass
help
up out of
elect
there.
Democrats and stop Donald Trump. She wrote that on social media, so she will not
We gotta
get
stop,
in the
bro.
way of Kamala Harris
You gotta
seeking
stop
this
thinking like
Democratic
that.
Party nomination.
That's how they get you scared.
And my sources
That's how they
agree
keep you
with
from
yours
voting for
in
what you
terms of
should
not
vote
seeing
for.
a head-to-head challenger.
They
But
got
the
you
question
voting
then
on
becomes
shit
who
that's
is
not even
the person
benefiting
who
you.
stands beside her August
Benefiting
19th
other
at that
people.
Democratic convention to
But they
seek
need
the
your
nomination
vote
in
to
that
get that
vice
done.
president role. That's where the focus is.
One day we gonna
Anyone,
wake
I was
up.
told, looking to challenge her would be committing political suicide to try to go head-to-head after Joe Biden had been so key in making it very clear, just within minutes of announcing he was not going to seek re-election, that he was endorsing her.
I'm gonna keep
Let's-
doing this
you know,
stuff
what we're looking at
till
now.
it's
In a
over
moment, let's
with.
talk about who those potential
I
vice
come here
presidential
all the
picks
time,
will
man,
be.
trying to
But
get
first,
somebody
I
to
do wanna
interact.
touch base with Willie James
You know, I ain't
Inman. He is
gonna-
in Delaware.
I ain't gonna
and I
be
know,
tripping
Willie,
too
you have
much.
some
I'm just
reaction
gonna keep doing
from
it.
the Biden
Just gonna
family.
keep my head
Willie?
down and stick with it.
Hey there, Nora.
When they get where it need to be, I'm gonna remember that, though.
Reacting to this seismic news
Swear to
today.
God.
Jill Biden, she
Oh, yeah.
reposted the president's statement.
Oh, yeah.
And she put a heart emoji. So sending
man, I'm finna
her
get off of
love
here.
to her husband. We know that the first
I'm about
lady
to
has been
hang
with
it
the
up.
president.
Like
as
I
he's
say, y'all got
recovering
any
from
comments? Leave the comments
COVID-19
down there. Let me
here
know what
in
you
Rehoboth
think.
Beach, Delaware. We also are seeing some
I
reaction
ain't
from
voting
the
for
president's
Kamala
granddaughter, Naomi
at all.
Biden, who said, quote, I'm
Ain't
nothing
voting for
but
no
proud
Democrat,
today
nothing,
of my
like I
pop,"
always say.
referring to her nickname, of course, for
But
the
I'll
president.
catch y'all next
there.
time,
And
or
I
maybe
wanna
later
bring up
if I
some
come back
reaction
on.
as well
Peace.
from Frank Biden, the president's